What's going on, guys? You're watching JayzTwoCents, and if you can't tell by taking a look at the nerd table, Cooler Master has sent us a lot of goodies to take a look at. And specifically today, we are going to look at the Cooler Master JetFlo 120 high performance LED fans. These are brand new on the market and they're quite the hype, and we're going to see if they live up to the Cooler Master name. Taking a look at the packaging here, Cooler Master definitely spared no expense when it comes to the packaging. They are very interested in presenting the fan to you with the same type of quality in the box as they put into the fan, because a company that puts effort into their packaging has a lot of pride in their product. It's even got a little window here that opens up with product information. You can see the fan right through the window, so you know exactly what you're getting. This is a white version. It's an LED with a white LED, and it is available in red, blue, white, and they say dark. I think that means there's no LED. There's quite a bit of technology in this fan, though. Taking a look at the back of the box here, we'll go ahead and go over some specs. It's like I mentioned, this is the white version. And it is an 800 to a 2000 RPM fan. Now this is a high airflow optimized fan. So obviously with the 2000 RPM you can get a lot of airflow, but you'll probably get a lot of noise with it too, and we'll find that out together. It is a PWM fan, so it does use pulse width modulation from your CPU to ramp up and slow down if you have it plugged into PWM headers. But you can also use it with a 3-pin or 3-pin to Molex adapter hooked up directly to your power supply or the motherboard. It does advertise 95 CFM flow rate. Now obviously that's going to be at 2000 RPMs, but as you slow down, because of the blade design, they're advertising that you don't sacrifice a lot of airflow. It's a very linear curve, whereas some fans have a very steep curve when it comes to CFM, where once the RPMs drop off, so does the CFM, just very sharply. These are advertising, if you look at the chart on the inside though, a very linear flow rate, which is pretty good. It does advertise 2.72 mm H2O of static pressure, so it is a little bit lower than some of the other fans that we've taken a look at here, but we are going to see exactly how these things perform. Maybe we'll stick them up against a radiator in another video. It is using the POM bearing, what they call their 4th generation bearing. It's a polyoxymethelene. I'm assuming it's a type of plastic.
Why yes, POM actually is a type of plastic. It is polyoxymethelene to be exact. Now let's go ahead and take a moment just to talk about the POM design before we continue with the review. The POM design is very rigid and it's very abrasion proof. What it does is it reduces vibration and noise, and it results in 160,000 hours of life on this fan. This is the first fan on the market to use this bearing design, and it's got a couple of unique features. There's no oil leakage, and it's a self-lubricating bearing, which means that you no longer have to replace any of the fan fluid inside of your fan. Most people may not have realized that their fans actually have fluid inside of them, causing lubrication inside the motor. So it gives a very long-lasting life to the fan. 160,000 hours is going to clearly outlive most of the components in your computer. It'll be time to upgrade the computer before you're replacing this fan. It also causes a much quieter fan motor noise, and it's got very high tolerance, and it's very precision. So you're not going to have any play in the fan. It's not going to be wobbling around. The POM bearing is actually very impressive. Let's continue.
Okay, so let's go ahead and dive inside the package here. Right off the bat, I can see that it is sleeved. We'll set that aside. And so you have your metal screws right here. What is cool about that is this fan. I've already taken a look at this fan, and they have definitely spared absolutely no expense when it comes to the design of not only the fan blade and the motor, but everything else around the fan. A lot of companies will just use cheap plastic shrouds for their fans, and they don't put a lot of design effort into the shroud. But this is absolutely, and it's actually quite heavy. All 4 of these corners, as you can see here, are bolted on to the fan shroud, and they're made entirely of rubber. So you've got an entirely rubber mounting mechanism here that is going to reduce vibration and sound. And inside of that rubber, as you can see, you actually have a threaded screw hole. So you're no longer going to have to deal with possibly stripping out the plastic as you're cranking down your fan, or you remove them and replace them a lot and move them around in your case or move them between cases. These are threaded. So these little fan screws are going to screw right on into that. As you can see, they will screw right on into there, and they're actually a really tight fit, so we'll just set that aside. One thing that I like is that they are sleeved, and as mentioned, they are PWM, so they have a 4-pin header here. I do wish they had given us more length though, especially as cases are getting bigger, and with their mod stacker case that's just released on the 15th, this length cable is not going to cut it. Now they probably assume that you're going to end up using some sort of an extension cable if you are putting these in something more than a mid-tower case, and this would be very mid-tower case friendly with this length, but if you're using a big tower like the 900D over here or the mod tower, this is just not going to cut it. So keep that in mind. If you have a long cable run, that's going to be a bit lacking there. But the quality of this fan is absolutely amazing in the construction of it. And if you look at the fin spacing on the fan, you can see I can stick my finger all the way through the fan and not have to make it crooked. I'm going straight through the fan. Let's see, I'll show you here. I'm going straight through the fan, which is apparently the design idea here, is that instead of the air having to swoop around the blade and be scooped up, the pressure of the air being pulled in, because the airflow is going to follow the, brothers and sisters, they all want to follow each other, so as the air moves, all the air around it wants to go too, can move straight through the fan, which gives you very directional airflow. And it's a very unique design. I mean, there's no other fan on the market like this. This is really neat. Okay, so as I mentioned, what comes in the box obviously is the fan itself, 1600 RPM and 1200 RPM adapters, and they are labeled as hot because the resistor in there does get quite hot as you slow down the fans. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and power this up at 12 volts. We're going to take a look at it, we're going to see how noisy it is, and then we're going to check out the performance from then. Okay. So here's 12 volts. That is pushing so much air. I can't even get that to stand up. Oh, it's because it's on the cable. No. This is like a helicopter. I have a feeling that this thing would hover. And to give you an idea of how much air this thing is blowing, if you can hear me over it, it's actually very loud at 2000 RPM. If I turn this towards the mic, hopefully that's picking that up. That is insane. That is an insane amount of air. I can still feel it. It's like an air conditioner. I can still feel that. Holy crap. Okay, so if I can do this without cutting my fingers off, I'm terrified right now this thing is going to cut my fingers off. Hopefully you can see this. The LED, unlike most LED fans where they're on the outside of the shroud, this is actually quite cool. This is like air conditioning. I love this. Oh, sorry. Okay. The LED is contained inside the hub, and it's glowing outside around the fan because it's glowing through the blades. This is a really cool design. It's very unique. So unlike when you have an LED fan on the corners pointing down on the blades and you get those brighter lines that look like a star, this is very uniform, and I really like this design. This is very cool. But okay, let's go ahead and get the adapters on here. God, I'm terrified I'm going to cut my fingers off. Careful. Okay. So let's go ahead and put on the 1600 RPM and see what we've got here. Okay, so that's the 1600 RPM. As you can see, that's still moving an awful lot of air. It's still a little bit noisy though. The motor itself isn't making any sound. It sounds like what we're hearing though is actually the blades. Even 1600 RPM I feel like is much more airflow than anybody's going to need. Especially when you have multiples of these. Like if you add a bunch of these in your case and you're running them at 12 volts, oh my god, I couldn't even imagine. But the amount of airflow is insane. I can still feel the air. I mean, look at this. Point that at my mic there. I have a dead cat on it basically. Hopefully you can hear the air, but look at that. That is blowing that much air. So let's do this. Before I put on the other adapter, let's turn that off, is I have here just a piece of paper with tape on it. And we're going to see just how that reacts to, I mean, look at that. That's at 1600 RPM. It's like a flag just waving in the wind. Oh, it's that much air going through there. Let's go ahead and try the silent mode, the 1200 RPM. Now we're talking. That is a very acceptable noise level, but look at the amount of airflow coming through that fan still. And that's actually not that noisy. If I point that... Wow. I mean, the amount of air I can feel, it's just this big wave of air all the way out to here at 1200 RPM, at the slow RPM. And remember, this can go all the way down to 800 RPM. And did it say what the starting voltage was? Starting voltage on this is not listed here. It takes 4.8 watts, though, at 12 volts, and it's a 0.4 amp. So you're going to want to keep that in mind. It is a much higher wattage fan than some, which will mean that you can't jumper as many of these off of a single header if you want to go that route. Okay, now just for giggles, let's go ahead and run 12 volt. All right, 12 volts incoming. That is just insane. Look at this. It is pushing so much air, guys. I cannot get it to... It wants to fall over. I cannot get it to stay up. That is how much air it is. It is actually turned into a propeller. Not a fan. This thing will move an airplane. So there you have it, guys. When it comes to fans, the JetFlo 120 is an amazing fan. I love the LED. The amount of quality and craftsmanship that's gone into the creation of the housing for the fan, and even the fact that they've got teeny tiny little brackets here, or supports here for the motor. That way you get maximum airflow out of these things. If you're looking for a very versatile fan that moves a lot of air at low RPM but gives you the option to go high RPM if you want it, long lasting, very acceptable noise ratio, and just looks really cool, you definitely don't want to pass up on the JetFlo 120s. These are a great fan. They really are. If only they came in LED yellow, then they might replace the Corsair fans I have in my case. And even then, these might make their way onto my lower radiator. We'll just have to wait and see. And if you've liked this product here from Cooler Master, go and check out their website at coolermaster.com. And as I showed in the beginning of this video, we have more stuff from Cooler Master that we're going to be showing. And we're going to be putting these also on the 240M 120mm all-in-one cooling unit. We're going to be checking out the V700 power supply. It's a gold-rated, platinum specified, or platinum spec'd power supply. And we are also going to be taking a look at the Control RX mousepad that all of this has been taking place on, and the N600 mid-tower case for less than 80 bucks behind me. So guys, as always, if you've enjoyed this video, you know what to do, and I will see you guys in my next video. And until then, go and do something fun with your computer, do something techie, and tweet it to me down below. I'll retweet the ones that I like, and I'll see you guys next time.